Okay, buddy. So we'll start with the glacial landforms. So in our previous class, we study about the coastal landforms. Now here we'll study about the glacial landforms. In the glacial landforms, like you all would have heard the name of drumlins. Drumlins, like delight we were studying while studying about the evidence. So there we were studying about the till. Okay. So this particular part is also the landform of the glacier. So we'll be studying that how does the formation of this particular drumlins had happened, how till formation had happens. So in this particular glacial landforms, we'll be studying about the erosional and the depositional landforms of the glacier. So in this particular part, the erosional and the depositional landforms of the glacier, if we see, what do we mean the glacial landforms? In this particular, like if we have some landforms formation by the glaciers, so that will be known as what? Glacial landforms. So in this particular part, we have the various landforms. In the regional landforms, we have the cirque and the tarn, horns and the serrated ridges, U-shaped valley, horn, arete, hanging valley, fjords, glacial troughs, spur. Then we have the depositional landforms like till, outwash plain, moraines, came, iskar, drumlins. So these are the various erosional landforms and the depositional landforms of glacier. So now we'll be studying about in a detailed manner about the glacier. Like while studying about the glacier, you all would have heard the name of before. Like in earlier part, you all would have heard the name of ice caps, ice sheets, okay, continental glacier. So now in this particular part, we have like how this particular part is being divided. Like suppose if we have some areas, if we have areas which is having like less than 50,000 kilometer, okay, less than 50,000 kilometers square. So that area will be known as what? Ice caps. Like that presence of ice caps, presence of ice, which is in the area of less than 50,000 kilometers. So they'll be known as what? Ice caps. So in the world example, if you see, like in the Russia, we have the ice caps. In the Canada, Iceland, Greenland. So these are the part of our ice caps. Then we have the ice sheet. Okay, in the ice sheet, if we see what it will happening, it will having the area more than 50,000 kilometers square. Okay, so in that, if you see, we have the Arctic, Antarctica, we have the Greenland. Then the bigger than the ice sheet, we have the continental glacier. Okay, like even that continental glacier can be called as what? Third pole. Okay, like a mountain glacier we have. Okay, mountain glacier, like a third pole. So they are the continental glacier. And in this particular part, continental glacier, also the examples of Antarctica can be brought into it. Okay, so they are the continental glacier. So now in this particular part, when this glacier, the ice cap or the ice sheet or the glaciers, when they are melting, okay, when they are melting, so they are forming some shapes. Okay, they are giving some shapes to the landforms. So that's what we call it as what? Glacial landforms. So in this particular part, like in this, when we have the ice cap, suppose here we have the mountainous area. Okay, on this we have the glacier. Okay, now what will happen when this particular glacier, when we have the these ice caps are increasing, so there we have a what? Advancing. Okay, there we have the advancing glacier. Now after what happens, now during the summertime, what will happen here? That height will become less. Okay, this what? These ice caps will melt. So that is known as what? That is the retreating of glacier. So that will be known as what? Retreating of glacier. Then in this, like in advancing part also, we have some formation of landforms, and also in the retreating also we have some formation of landforms. So all those things we'll study. So first we'll see that how glaciation impact the landforms, the formation of landforms. So like in that we have the some three forces, three processes which are acting, because of which we have the formation of landforms. So in which we have the abrasion, plucking, and the scratching. Okay, so abrasion, what we studied, that what will happen in the abrasion part? What will happen? Like parts will be moving away. Like when the parts is moving away, so in that case, what will happen? Like here, some materials will be there, so it will erode away all these materials and it will bring down. Okay, so there we have the abrasion process. Okay, now because now suppose if glacier, now here Here we have the glacier. Okay. Now in this part, what happens, because of when these particular glaciers are melting away, so what will happen? Now either it will fall down suddenly on these parts. So here, what here it will erode some materials over here, or if some materials are there, okay. So from here part also it will be eroding. So there we have the abrasion process. Then similarly we have the plucking. Okay. Now when these glaciers are moving down, when it is melting, when it is moving down, so what will happen? It might pluck some materials from this particular mountainous part, and it will erode this particular, and it might give us shape. So there we have the plucking. Then we have the scratching. So now, like how scratching in place? Suppose if glacier is there, if some ice caps are there, so what is happening? Like when it is moving down, so what is happening? It is scratching some particles from here. So there we have the scratching process. So because of these processes, we have the formation of glacial landforms. Okay. Now when the glaciation will happen, it will impact the landforms. It will have some landform formation. So in this particular part, when the glaciation happens, like when the glacier melts, so during that time, will we have any earthquake and the tsunami? Sorry, earthquake and the tsunami. Yes, that time we might have the earthquake and the tsunami. Why we might have earthquake and tsunami? Like here, we studied what? That our Earth is maintaining isostatic equilibrium. Isostatic equilibrium. We studied in our earlier part that our Earth is maintaining isostatic equilibrium. So in this case, what is happening? Like on asthenosphere, we have the lithosphere part. So what is happening? Now this particular part, when if it is floating on this particular part, so what it might be happening? Here, this particular that molten materials, it will be exerting some pressure upwards. Okay. And this particular materials, the continental part, it will be exerting some pressure downwards. So now between these both, what is happening? The pressure is being maintained. It is being balanced. Okay. It is being balanced. So pressure, when the pressure is balanced, so now it will be on the same type. Okay. Now in this particular part, suppose if we have the glaciation, suppose here we have the mountainous part. On this we have the glacier. Now this glacier, because of the global warming, it starts melting. Now when it starts melting, so what will happen? Now it will be like without any upper part. So when it starts melting, so this particular water, what happens? It gets mixed into the water bodies. Okay. Or it might get evaporated. So now in this case, what happens? Now here that pressure, that equal pressure being produced downwards, what is happening here? The pressure is being released. Okay. Now here the pressure is being released because of the melting of the glacier. So what will happen? Now downward part, when this particular molten materials, it is pressing the pressure upwards. Okay. So there what will happen? When here the particular water has been melted, so in that case, what will happen? There will be some shaking. Okay. Now pressure, so what it will give some pressure upwards. So here this particular upper part, what happens? It might rise up. So there will be some movements. Okay. So now because of that, what will happen? Because of that, we will have the earthquakes. Okay. So what do you mean with the earthquakes? Already we studied it is the shaking of the earth. Okay. Which releases some energy. So that shaking we here also it will take place because of the unbalance of the forces, unbalance of the pressure. So there we have the shaking, and there we have the earthquake. Okay. Now that earthquake is, suppose if we have in the water body, if that shaking if we have in the water body, so there we will be having the tsunami. Okay. So that's how this particular global warming affects the glaciation. Okay. That's how the glaciation also impacts the landforms. Okay. So this is about the important part of that glacial introduction. Now here we'll see about the erosional and the depositional landforms of the glacier. So first we'll study about the erosional landforms. First we'll see about the erosional landforms. Now in this particular erosional landforms, the first landform we have, that is the Cori, or also we call it as the CWM. Okay, just know this particular, no need to know the full form. But also this particular Cori CWM, or also it might be known as what? Cori CWM or cirque. Now how it happens? Now suppose here we have the mountainous area here lies. Now what happens? Now here upper part what is happening? We have the glacier. Now after the glaciation process happens. So in that case what happens? Now the glacier, these waters have been melted. So when these waters have been melted, and also when we had like when the glaciers formation were happening, when they're moving down, so what is happening? It was eroding, it was plucking some materials from here. Okay. Then what happens? These particles, because of the because of the erosional activities, what happens? These particular shape became like a chair type. Okay, lice became. So this particular formation of landform is known as what? Quarry, or also we call it as what? Cirque. Okay, quarry or cirque. And this will be like, it will be looking like a arm shaped. Okay, so remember this arm shape, like a chair type it will be. Okay, so that particular landforms will be known as what? Quarry, cirque, or the CWM. Okay, all are same name. Okay, so there we have the formation of quarry or the cirque. Like here in this particular diagram you can see here. So this particular is what? This is the quarry or the cirque. Okay, now in this particular part, when we have this quarry, cirque, or the CWM formation, now this is in one side. Okay, we have the formation lies. Now we know that mountainous we have, so they'll be like in 3D shape. Okay, so if we have the mountainous area lies here, okay, so here we have the one quarry formation here, or the cirque formation here. Okay, here again we have the formation over here, this particular part. So in this particular part, what happens when we have the formation of quarry and cirque, and here what will happen? Here like a ridges formation will be there. Okay, and this particular line will be known as what? It will be known as what? Aritis. Okay, it will be aritis. Okay, so this is the aritis. One more landform formation will happen. Like here you can see in this diagram. So this particular part, that not eroded part will be known as what? Non-eroded part will be known as what? Aritis. Okay, so here we have the cirque formation, then we have the aritis. And now when in the 3D shape, like it will be formed, and in this aritis, this upper part, the topper part will be known as what? It will be known as the horns, or also we can call it as the pyramidal peak, or also we can call it as the pyramidal peak. So this is about the cirque, aritis, pyramidal peak, or the horn. So these are the erosional landforms. Like after like shear, like how the horn formation might happen. Now here the glacier would have been there. Okay, when the formation of here the cirque happen. Okay, then because of the formation of two cirque, remember that when we have the formation of two cirque, so the line between the line which is dividing these two cirques, that will be known as what? Aritis. Okay, when we have the formation of two cirque, then in that case only we are having the formation of this particular aritis. Okay, now after the glaciation, what will happen? These particular parts will be eroded away. Okay, now here this particular part will be looking like a pointed tip. Okay, like how we have the bull's horns we have. Okay, like it will be looking. So that part we call it as what? Horns or the pyramidal peak. So this is the erosional landforms by the glacier. So aritis and the pyramidal peaks. When two quarries cut back on opposite side, we'll see about this pyramidal peaks. When two quarries cut back on opposite side of the mountain, so this particular, remember that quarries, that circle will be on like opposite sides. Okay, and then one knife edge will be separating that. So that will be known as what? Aritis. So when two quarries cut back on opposite sides of the mountain, knife edge ridges are formed, and that will be known as what? Aritis. When three or more are cut back together, recession with the form an angular horn. Okay, like when the three, so remember in this particular point also that when the three cirque formation happen, so here this particular part will be known as what? Horns. Okay, it forms a angular horns or the pyramidal peaks. Okay, so in this particular part, the downslope movement of a glacier from its snow covered valley head and the intensive shattering of the upland slopes tend to produce a depression. Okay, like when it is shattering, so there it tends to produce a depression where the nave or the fern accumulates. So plucking and the abrasion further deepens the depression into a steep to horseshoe shaped. Okay, like a chair we can say. Okay, that basin is called what? Cirque. Okay, or CWM or quarry. Okay, so there is a rocky ridge, and at the exit of the quarry, when the ice eventually melts, water collect behind this barrier. So in this particular part, like when we have the formation of this particular quarry or the ncert, and in this particular part, if the water gets filled up, okay, if water gets filled up, then that particular, it will take a shape of lake, and that lake will be known as what? Tarn lake. Okay, that lake will be known as what? Tarn lake. Okay, so remember about this particular part also. So it is what? This barrier is known as what? Quarry lake or the Tarn lake. Okay. Then we have another landform, that is the Bergstrand. Like here, we have the formation of a Bergstrand. Like in this diagram, you can see it. Like here we have the mountainous area. Okay. We are having the mountainous area. Okay. Now in this particular part, what is happening? Now here it is fully being covered by the glacier, the ice caps. Okay. Now when the ice caps, when in the summertime, what is happening? In the summertime, these particular ice caps started melting. Okay, when it started melting, so there what will happen? Like in summertime, there will not having any frost action. Okay, so there will be no formation of ice caps during that time in the summertime. So what is happening now? When the melting happens, so what happens? There, that brings a gap between two ice caps. Okay, lies in this particular part, you all can see here. Okay, so like when this particular, now this particular part is sliding down. Okay, so when this here where the like broken parts, so here it takes a shape. Okay, and this particular shape you know is what? Bergstrand. So this particular shape you know is what? Bergstrand. So at the head of a glacier, where, and in this particular part, what will happen? During the summertime, there will be no again forming of the ice caps. So these particular places will be not filled up. So there we have the formation of Bergstrand. Okay. So at the head of a glacier, where it begins to leave the snow field of a quarry, a deep vertical crack opens up, and that is called as what? Bergstrand or the Rimaya. And this happens in the summer when, although the ice continues to move out of the quarry, there is no snow to replace it. Okay, so there we have the formation of this particular Bergstrand. So in some cases, not one but several such cracks can occur. Okay, so what is happening? It presents a major obstacle to climbers. So further down where the glacier negotiates a bend or a precipitous slope, so more cases or the cracks are being formed. So that crack will be known as what? Bergstrand. Okay, so this is about one more landform, one more erosional landform, that is what? Bergstrand. Okay, now in this particular part, in the after the Bergstrand, we'll see another, that is the U-shaped valley or the glacial trough and the river lakes. Okay, so how the formation of this particular U-shaped valley is happening? Like see here. Now in this, like we know that we are having the V-shaped valley formation. V-shaped valley formation in the fluvial landforms. We study about the V-shaped valley. Okay, so in the mountainous area, what would happen? Like first, we would have the V-shaped valley formation. So like in the like million years ago, there might be some rivers flowing in these areas. Now, because of the flowing of these rivers in these areas, so there would have been the formation of V-shaped valley. There would have been the formation of V-shaped valley because of the river flowing. Okay. Now, after in like now in the present age or after before few years, what would happen? There would have been in the like happening of the formation of ice caps in that area. So there would have the formation of glacier would have been there. So in that area, what would happen? Because of the movement of the ice caps, because of melting of the ice caps, what would happen? This particular part would have been eroded and taken a shape like a U type, Okay. So this particular type will be known as what? U-shaped valley. So this particular U-shaped valley formation happens in the glacier, in the glacial landform. Remember that. And the V-shaped valley formation happens in the river landforms. So remember and don't get confused. So there we have the formation of U-shaped valley landforms. Okay. So U-shaped valley we saw. Now in this particular, like we have the U-shaped valley formation. Okay. Here we have the U-shaped valley formation. Okay. Now in this particular part on here we have the mountainous area. So what would happen? Some glaciers. Okay. Some glacier and the tributaries would have what would happening? Like from this part, like a tributary type from the parts of this area would have been like they'll be flowing. Okay, when they'll be melting. So in this case, what happens? Like they'll erode this particular part, and from this, like water will be flowing downwards. Okay, so this particular part, they like here when it is falling down, so here it will erode and it will be falling down in the user valley areas. So here what will happening? Here like it will be acting like a false type. Okay, like a false formation will happen in these areas. Okay, and that false formation will be known about that like this part, that formation will be known about hanging valley. Okay, and that formation will be known about hanging valley. Okay, and now when this particular waters from this area, when it is falling down in this particular U-shaped valley areas, okay, and there what it is happening, there we have the formation of some lakes, and that particular lakes will be known about ribbon lake. Like from here also we will have tributaries here also. So these waters will be flowing down. Okay, and then there in this particular U-shaped valley area, we have the formation of lake, and that particular lake will be known as what? River lake. So this particular hanging valley, okay, this particular hanging valley formation, where it would happen? It would happen like in here we have the two mountainous chain. Okay, one chain lies, and here we have one chain lies. Okay, then some tributaries from here it is flowing. Okay, and then here it is making some impact, and it is making like a steep sided. It is eroding and making taking the shape like a steep sided. Okay, there we have the formation of falls, and there we have the formation of that is what? That is the hanging valley. Okay, lies you can see here. Here we have the formation of U-shaped. Okay, and from this particular part, because of the flowing of the waters, what is happening? Like here we have the hanging valley formation. This is okay. So here we have the hanging valley formation. So this is about the U-shaped hanging valley and the ribbon lake. So glacier on their downward journey are fed by several quarries, scratches, and grind the bedrock with the straightening out any protruding spurs. Okay, and the interlocking spurs are thus blunted to form truncated spurs with the floor of the valley deepening. Okay, and there when the valley is deepening, so what happens? Like after the ice has been melted, a tributary valley hang above the main valleys, and plunges down the as waterfall or waterfall, and that particular waterfall will what? That tributary valleys are termed as what? Hanging valleys. So there we have the hanging valleys formation. So that is about the hanging valley. Then we have the U-shape and the ribbon lakes. So hence the valley which has been glaciated lakes, the characteristics U-shape with a wide flat floor and the very steep sides. Okay, wide flat floors. Okay, and very steep sides. So after the disappearance of the ice, the deep sections of these long narrow glacial troughs may be filled with water forming ribbon lakes. So they will be known as what? Ribbon lakes, also known as what? Trough lakes or the finger lakes. Okay, so this is about the ribbon lakes, hanging valley, and the hanging valleys, U-shaped valleys, and the ribbon lakes. So this is about that particular part. Okay, now in this particular part, like you all can see here, we have the hanging valleys formation over here. Okay, and in this hanging valley, like when we have the hanging valley formation, so there what happens? Like when the water is falling down, so there what would happen? Like there it might be causing depression in that particular part. Okay, so when it causes the depression and water gets filled up in that areas, so that particular lake will be known as what? Ribbon lake that we have seen. Okay, now in this later part also one more lake we'll see, that also we'll see. Okay, now first we'll see, now we have finished about this particular part, hanging valley, U-shaped valley, ribbon lake, all those parts we have finished. Now we'll see one more erosional landforms, that is the Rocky Mountain. Okay, Rocky Mountain. Okay, in this part what would happen? Like in this particular part, suppose here we have the glacier, here we have the mountain, and off of it glacier is there. So what is happening? Like from here, the when this particular glaciers are going down, means it is melting away. So it is breaking this particular parts. Okay, when it is breaking and it is making it like a steep sided. Okay, steep sided. So that there we have the formation of the Rocky Mountain. Okay, so here in this diagram, so here this particular part you are, this is the Rocky Mountain, like a steep sided, here the formation will happen. Okay, So here, like from this side, what is happening? From the smooth side, that particular part will go smoothly go up, and from this side suddenly it will fall down. So there we have the formation of steep sided, that will be known as what? Rocky mountain. Okay. So if you see the rocky mountain, basically a resistance residual rock, hummock or the mound stated by the ice movement. So its upstream or the store side is smoothened by the abrasion, and its downward or the leeward side is roughened by the plucking. Okay, and is much what it is much steeper. So there we have the formation of this particular landform, that is the Rocky Mountain. Okay, then we have the crag and the tail. Okay, like in the Rocky Mountain we studied, like here what is happening? Here we have the mountainous area. Okay, from this side this particular part is going up. Okay, and here what is happening? When it is smoothing this particular part, okay, glacier we have. So because of movement of glacier, what it is going up, suddenly it is falling down. Okay, so here in this area the plucking process is happening. So there we are having the formation of rocky mountain. Okay, that here it becomes like a steep sided. Now in these particular parts, when we have the rocky mountain formations, so here in this case, what happens? Like here, the glacier movement will be there. So here this side will be steep sided, and here what happens? The glacier movements, like when we have the slow glacial movement. So there what happens? These particular parts it won't be able to plug that much. So it will deposit some materials over these areas. So this particular part, this upland will be known as what? It will be known as the crag. It will be known as crag, and this particular part will be known as what? Tail. Okay, means what? In this side it will be not steep sided. It will lies like a slope, gentle slope type. Okay, so there we have the tail formation. A crag and a tail is larger rock mass than the Rocky Mountain. Like a Rocky Mountain, it is formed from a section of rock that was more resistant than its surroundings. So crag is a mass of hard rock with a steep side slope. So here, like crag, what is happening? One steep side slope here we are having. Okay. On the upward side, which protects the softer leeward slope from being completely worn down by the oncoming ice. So it therefore has a gentle tail strewn with the eroded rock debris. Okay. So this is about the crag and tail. Here in this particular part, you can see it. Like here we have the steep sided. So here that particular here what is happening? That movement, okay, that movement of glacier, what it is being reduced. Okay, so slowly it is coming up. The movement of glacier is going. Okay, so what is happening here in this side, in the leeward side, what is happening? There is not that much erosional activities. Okay, so here we have the formation of this particular gentle slope type, and that particular part is what? Tail, and here this mound type will be known as what? Crag. Okay, so this is about the crag and the tail. Okay, now in this particular part, now next we have the boulder clay or the glacial till. Okay, in this till, so till means what? Till means fine sediments. Remember, till means what? Very fine sediments. Okay, and moraine means what? Some like gravels type, coarse grain will be there. Okay, so in this particular part, what happens? Like if you see, suppose if you have some mountains over these areas. So what is happening? Now erosional activities are happening. Okay. And now that eroded materials are what? It has broken down into the fine sediments. Okay. So they'll be known as what? Till. Okay. Or also will be calling as what? Boulder clay. This is an unsorted glacial deposit comprising a range of eroded materials such as boulders, sticky clay, and the fine rock floor. Okay, so fine rock floor. So it is spread out in sheets, not mounds. Means what? It is glacial till what? It is the deposited landform. Okay, it is the deposited landforms. Okay, so here what is happening? It forms gently undulating till or the drift plains with the monotonous landforms. So here in this particular part, what happens? The degree of fertility of such glacial plains depends very much on the composition of the depositional materials. When that glacial till, okay, like after the glacial till, like here this particular part is what? It is a glacial till, all those finer materials. Okay, in that area, like some boulders, like a big boulders is being left over. Okay, and that particular boulders will be known as what? Erratics. Okay, when it is not being eroded by the ice. Okay, so there will be known as what? Erratics. boulders of varying size that are transported by ice and left extended. Okay, if they are not eroded, okay, or by when they eroded and they are like brought to some other place and they are left alone. Okay, so in that regions of deposition when the ice is melted, so in that area that will be known as what? Erratics. Okay, so they will be known as what? Erratics. So this is about the erratics. Now in this particular part we have studied about the till. In this part also we'll see about the moraines. Let me bring some. Okay, in this particular part, see here, like how the moraines will happening, like what will happen when some like this particular part the mountainous area have been eroded. Okay, so these particular materials have been like it has been placed in some at some places like a big boulder types. Okay, like here you can see like here we have one mountain formation lies. Okay, so these particular mountainous whatever they have been deposited at the base areas. Okay, they have been deposited at the base areas. So these particular deposited materials will be known as what? Moraines. It will be like in some bigger shape. Okay, so these deposited materials at the base area will be known as what? Moraines. Okay, and these moraines we have the various moraines like middle moraines, we have the end moraines. Like in this, like here we have the glacial landforms. Okay, and when the deposited materials, when these deposited, so here in this particular part, here like from this particular when the two moraines will be joining. Okay, when the two moraines are joining, so they will be known as what? Terminal moraines. And when it is joined by a straight line, they will be known as what? Middle moraine. Okay, and at the end of that glacial areas, they will be known as what? End moraines. So all those deposited materials will be known as what? Moraines. So this is about the moraines. Now in this particular part, we'll see about the landforms of the lowland. Like in this first, we'll see about the drumlins. Okay, how we have the drumlins formation. Okay, remember that drumlins is also known as the basket of egg, or also we can call it as the well back. Okay, so now in this particular part, what would have happened? Like we would have some landforms. Okay, we would have landform slice. First we would have landform slices, and then these materials would have been there. Okay, so here also like hard rocks, soft rocks, it might be arranged. Okay, hard rocks, soft rocks would have been arranged. Now what would happen when the movement of these glaciers are happening? So what is happening? Like here, since it is made of hard rock, so here it is not able to erode. So when it comes to these areas, what happens? It erodes these particular areas. Okay, then here hard rocks is there, so it is not able to. So again at this area it is being eroded. So there what happens? There at this particular part, what happens? There we have the formation of shape lies. Okay, so there we have the formation of like a whaleback, and that whaleback materials will be known as what? Drumlins. Okay, so in this particular part, what would happen? Like some materials might be deposited at this particular place. Okay, and here it might be eroded. So at this particular place also some materials might be deposited. So that particular part will be known as what? Drumlins. So what do you mean the drumlins? It is the elongated whaleback hummocks composed wholly of the boulder clay with the elongation in the direction of ice flow. So it will be in the direction of ice flow on the downward side. So there are the low hills up to 1.5 kilometer long and the 60 millimeter tall, and appear steeper on the on side and the taper of the at the leeward side. Okay, so they are arranged like a whaleback. So they are referred as what? Basket of waves topography. You all can see here in this particular part. Okay, like here the deposition would have happened. Okay, at the particular when that eroded parts have been fallen down and deposition would have happened. Okay, and there what would happen? Like here it would have been covered by the glaciers. Later when it becomes dry, okay, so here the river is flowing. So here that all those water have melted. So here the river started flowing. So these particular landforms that like some low lying land area. Okay, some low land area like that we will be seeing. So there we have this particular drumlins formation. So this is about the drumlins. Now the next landforms we have deposition landform, that is the eskers. Okay, so in this eskers it is nothing but like see here the depositional landforms have been deposited. Okay, deposited at this particular area. So it will be like in this type of shape, that like a sinus shape. Okay, so they are what? They are the eskers. So eskers are the sinus edges composed of glacial material mainly sand and the gravel deposited by the melt water. Okay, by the melted water it has been deposited. Okay, all those materials, all those plugged materials had been deposited in these areas. Okay, at the base of that mountainous area. So when it has been deposited and later when the water dried, so that time the highland area, okay, highland area in that particular area and that particular plain part, if you see that particular highland area, that will be known as what? Eskers. Okay, so here what happens? It is the gravel deposited by the meltwater currents in the glacial tunnels. Okay, the glacial tunnels marks the former sites of the subglacial meltwater stream. Okay, and their orientation is generally parallel to the direction of glacial flow, and they sometimes exceed 100 kilometers in length. Okay, so Eska is what? It is one more depositional landforms of the glacier. Okay, so Eskers we have seen. Okay, then the fjord coast. Remember that fjord coast formation which will happen in the glacier side. Okay, so this is about the fjord coast. Fjord coast we know to say that much. Only thing you are almost know that fjord coast formation we happen. It happens in the glacier side. Okay, so that is about the fjords. Then we have the moraines. The glacier eventually melts on reaching at the foot of the valley, and the pile of the transported materials means what we have studied. What we have studied, that big boulders type. Okay, the piles of the transported materials left behind at the snout is terminal moraine or the end moraine. Means what? At the end when it is left over. Okay, so that deposition of the end moraines may be in the several succeeding waves. Okay, so all the deposited materials in the big boulders type at the base. Okay, they'll be known as what? They'll be known as the moraines. So this is about the moraines. Okay, now we have the outwards plain. Okay, the outwards plain, if you see, it is nothing, it is not only the glacial landform. Okay, it is the fluvio-glacial landform. It is the fluvio-glacial landform. So what? This particular outwards plains has been formed by the action of river and the glacier together. Okay, and action of river and the glacier together, then we have the outwards plain. Okay, so it is made up of fluvial glacial deposits washed out from the terminal moraines by the streams or the stagnant ice mass. Okay, the melt water sought and redeposit the material mainly consisted of layers of sand and other fine sediments. Like at the base area, when this particular parts at the base here, it has been deposited. Okay, like a finer particles when it has been deposited. So like a sand type. So they are the outwash plains. So such plains with the sandy soils are often used for the specialized kinds of agriculture such as potato. So there we have the outwash plain, and outwash plain is a process of the fluvial glacial deposits. Okay, so that is about the outwash plain. Then we have the Kettle Lake. Okay, we have the Kettle Lake. Like when we are having like Drumlins formation also, Lisa, or in the here we have this particular various other shape formation like a U-shape valley formation here we have. Okay, so there we are studying about the Ribbon Lake. Okay, similarly on the upper part in the pyramidal peak part, what would happen? Like in the upper part there, if formation of the depression would have happened. Okay, at this particular part. Okay, not here. At this part, the formation of depression would have been happened. Okay, so it will be at some height. Okay, not at the lower part. Okay, so when the depression formation would happen, so at the later stage, the water might get filled over there, and they will be taking the formation of Kettle Lake. Okay, so Tarn Lake we studied here. Okay, Kettle Lake we studied here. Ribbon Lake we studied here. A depression formed when the deposition takes place in the form of alternating ridges. Okay, when like a moraine type, when the formation is happening. Okay, when the moraine type like formation is happening, so there what is happening? There we have the alternating ridges. So like okay, so alternating is like here we have the formation of moraine types. Okay, that particular. So in that particular places, what is happening at some height? What is happening there? We have the formation of this particular depression. Okay, and that depression gets filled by water. So that we know what Kettle Lake. So shallow sediment filled body of water from the retreating glaciers. So there'll be what? There'll be the Kettle Lake. Okay, so these are the various important points regarding the glacier landforms. So we have finished this particular glacial landforms topic. Okay. So now we are done with the geomorphology part.